All right, so came down last night, got these spots gel coated on this hatch. They were just our little dip where the bolt down bolt will go. We also cleaned up the centers of these stringers here. The other day I fiberglassed them, got them connected to each other, and so I just smoothed them off and put some gel coat on them. After that, we did like we were saying. What I did was I just took one of our laminate scraps, took the grinder, cut a ring out just on the top layer, and then I set my jigsaw for a 45 and just kind of followed it around like that, and that worked really good. Made it nice and easy to lay up a couple layers of 45 around the edges. In the hole here we have flexible coupling. It's one of the rubber ones with a couple of pipe clamps on it. As you can see, can't actually get it in there, so I had to do it beforehand. I put a little silicone around the outside of it that will go against the fitting on the tank because it was threaded. I didn't want water leaking through, so I just put some silicone on it, stuck it on there, tightened it on, and then I kind of fitted this half of it just to where it's nice and snug and I can stick it in there. So I'll do the same thing on this half, just a little bit of silicone around there and ram it in there. Use 5200 on the ceiling face and a couple of screws into this laminate, and yeah, that'll be that. It'll be a lot nicer than what it was, which was one of these little plastic hatches here. So yeah, really happy with how that turned out. So I got my mixologist Tristan over here.
That's me.
Keeping me topped up on my resin gel coat. We brought down our cart full of bin boards here. They're of varying lengths, they each go in their own slot down in the main fish hold here. We currently have circulation piping down there, so we're gonna break that apart, get these bin boards sorted out, and start putting them back in. Alright guys, so you can probably barely see in here. I didn't have a light handy and our flashlight's turned up missing. So anyways, just starting to put these bin boards back in. We took our circulation out. Yeah, got those forward 2 bin board sets in and 2 to go here. So yeah, probably shorties, but the about 52. 51 to 52. Gotta say, it's pretty weird being down here again. Spent so much time down here and now making a return after it's been months since we have been down here. It's like a past chapter. Alright guys, just gonna glue this fill pipe in. Got my holes marked out. Just gonna use silicone here. So just give a nice fat bead here. And I'll just put a little bead around this.
Did you put your boot on already?
I did. Had to before putting the piece down, actually.
How do you tighten the top?
I made it so that this fits in like snugly. Figured that silicone would make for a nice lubricant.
Yeah.
Sliding it on.
Absolutely.
Could have made my pile of holes just a hair larger, probably. Didn't want them stripping out either.
I think that seated it pretty good, huh?
Yeah, there was still a gap between them.
Looks good. Well, that'll be nice not having to worry about that.
Yeah. So today's agenda is to bring this hatch coaming up to level. The hatch is on right now, we're about to pull it off. But we had to block it up in order to get it up to the same height as the deck. As you'll see in a second, we have some spacers in there right now. So we'll go ahead and pull this off and show you a little more. You can grab it by the hole. Set here. Here, you go first so you don't step in the hole. There you go. So you can see we have the blocks in here. Got a 2x4 there, a 3/4 inch piece of just plywood there, 2x4, and then a 2x4 and the plywood. So part of the problem was that when we put the false deck on, we had a slight miscalculation on our height here, so that's about I think a 1/2 inch more than what this side ended up as. And then just overall it ended up being a little weird because we went off the crown of the deck and just kind of did our best to level it out, but obviously the deck is a little bit different over here than it was over there, so just kind of a lot of factors involved in this uneven coaming. Yeah, anyways, like I said, it's got about a 2-inch rise right there, so what we're planning on doing is just using some of our Gurrit foam that we've used throughout this project. We'll just cut a couple of strips for around here, and over this way we'll just shave it down to what needs to match over there. And then we'll also take into account what we will be using for a gasket to height, so where the hatch was sitting at before, we'll make it approximately a 1/2 inch higher than that, so that when you suck down the hatch with the gasket in it, it'll end up the same height as the false deck. I guess we'll start by taking a few measurements, see what we need for foam. It's in a big sheet form, so we didn't feel like hauling it down here in the car. We'll just take a few measurements here and probably just cut it at home. Last time on this back hold, I had to do the same thing, but we just used plywood, and it was a bit harder just because over there didn't need any, but over here needed like a 3/4 inch or something, so it was kind of just like feathering it in. But over here for sure it needs some over there, so we'll be able to like plane down one side and put the rough side down and end up with a nice fair top to glass over. So yeah, we'll start with some measurements. Okay guys, so got some measurements made. Just threw a piece of flat bar across there and measured down to the top. We had these shims in there just to kind of bring it up to a rough level, but going off the decking is a more foolproof method of getting that measurement. So yeah, we measured down, figured out what kind of thickness we need, where the worst corner or the lowest corner is 2 5/8 up to height. So just taking into account when we put a gasket in there and the layup of glass, probably drop that number down by 3/8 or 1/2 inch or something like that, kind of just figure out where that ends up. And also got our thickness of how wide the coaming is. So we'll go home after a bit here to cut our foam to length and size and stuff. But first off, I gotta get dirty and actually grind off this gel coat. Pretty dreadful, but has to be done. So that's what I'm gonna do now. All right, here we go. Kind of thought that might happen. Great, put a dent in our vacuum. So I'm not taking all the gel coat off, I'm just taking off a layer of it, getting some glass revealed. There's no real need to go too crazy here, just get enough off so that it'll bond well to this base layer. Alright guys, well, got the most of it off. Like I said, I'll just come around with sandpaper on the outside and rough up where I couldn't reach it real well with the grinder up against the boards there. But yeah, pretty good. Anyways, gonna go home, get us some foam and supplies, and bring them back and kind of dive in.